Welcome to the Lyrical Coffee House. I'm your host, Thomas Terrell Jr., where we like to bring a dose of inspiration to you. I am joined today. I got a special guest for y'all, man. Y'all are in for a treat. I done put my suit on for this one. We are joined today by, let me just run his credentials before I say his name. American inspirational jazz musician, harpist, composer, writer, arranger, radio announcer, TV show host. In 1998, he introduced his harp to contemporary gospel music with the release of the Sacred series, followed by other Sacred series to follow. He has been charted on the Billboard charts on both gospel and R&B. He is Stellar Award nominated. He's outstanding gospel instrumentalist at the first Gospel Truth Magazine Music Awards in 2002. Even as I say he's iconic, we all know him as a legend, but the late Maya Angelou has quoted him as being a true gift from heaven with the sound of all time. Let me introduce to you right now the legendary, iconic Mr. Jeff Majors.
Oh, God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you, first of all, for allowing me this time to introduce you all. It's an honor.
Oh, let me tell you, you can go. I'll put you in my pocket, and you can go to all the places I'm going to. You can introduce me. And everywhere I gotta go from here on out, you sold.
Hey, y'all heard it first. I might got me a new job. So I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. I'll be with Mr. Jeff. Man, first of all, it like I said, it's an honor because when you hear the word legend, they're dead and gone. You're here with us, so that's why I say it's an honor for me to even be doing this interview. And funny thing before I get into this conversation, because it's not an interview, it's a conversation.
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation. Before I get into this interview, it's like a full circle moment for me because coming up, growing up in the church, the church don't really have a lane when it comes to entertainment. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into it, but like seeing you and like Bobby Jones on TV, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy me some suits and I'm gonna be, interviewing gospel artists and things of that nature. And here it is today. I'm interviewing the person who was interviewing everybody. Oh. So it's just an honor once again. I like to thank you. I want to jump straight into this conversation. Before, like from the beginning, like was music a thing of the household growing up?
My mother was a musician.
Okay.
And she was a trumpet player back in the day when jazz was running up and down in D.C. on 14th Street, 9th Street, 7th Street, T Street, S Street. I mean, as they say, the joint was jumping on 14th Street. And I got drawn to the trumpet first, and it was so interesting because I thought it was gonna be a nice and easy instrument to play.
Oh no!
Because it only had three vowels. Three vowels, and I said, "Oh, we're gonna make it. We're gonna make this happen." And when I got into the instrument and found out, no, you're gonna twist your lip and burn your hip. You're gonna do a few things before you understand the modality and how to get inside this instrument. But the instrument also gave me an insight of just notes and using the instrument to its fullest potential. And I used to love great musicians like Freddie Hubbard, just a lot of the Marcellus, crew. I mean, the whole that whole crew was very much of an inspiration coming up and coming through. So,
hey, when make it look so easy?
Oh, that whole crew that came out of Duke Ellington, that whole crew that came up out of there. So, and some great musicians came through that Howard University corridor. I used to spend night and day up at Howard all the time, just sitting up there playing with the musicians that came up out of Howard University. So
I grew up in the church playing trombone in United House of Prayer.
Oh yeah. Oh, and that has a history all by itself. and for you to be a part of that history.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of musicians and a lot of young, you know, gen setters have no idea of like what it took to come through House of Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what it come through to be. But all that was a gravity of a start out of New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and some great New Orleans, and that rich tradition of just African culture and black culture coming up out of the area to be able to play, you know, to play that instrument. The Europeans had no idea. They had no idea what was going to come up that horn when we picked it up. But when we picked it up and they figured it out, especially when Louis Armstrong got a hold of it, it was like we never expected that to be happening. And therefore, we became the forerunners of all of the entertainment that came up and birthed out of America, and particularly the whole East Coast and West Coast, you know, involvement. Very, very rich.
Because like you say, I started off with trombone, but then I was like, my lips too small for trombone, so I switched over to trumpet, and I was like, well, this ain't really no easier. So
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's
so what type of music, like, set the atmosphere? What type of music was played? I heard you say who some of your favorite artists was it a lot of gospel coming up in your house as a kid? Was it a lot of jazz or a mixture of?
It was a mixture of. My mother and Pearl Bailey used to be, you know, great friends. So I was able, you know, to like be around, you know, jazz musicians that was really playing and singing jazz, you know. But then on Sunday, when you get on Sunday, when the House of Prayer was firing up, and that kitchen was cooking,
yeah.
You know, all the musicians came up there because the kitchen was cooking, and they were able to get together with some great musicians and sit down and have fun playing some music. Yeah, so I'm real thankful for just the rich history that came up out of Washington, D.C.
A lot of rich history all the way around when it comes to entertainment.
Absolutely. And Maryland, you know, and Baltimore. So many great musicians came up out of Baltimore as well. So meeting some of those musicians and being in their lives, I mean, brought me into the whole contemporary age of a lot of other great musicians that we pretty much identify and work with now, you know. So
from starting out with trumpet, where does the play come in from trumpet to harp? First of all, let me say this about harp. I maybe not know a lot, but you're the only African American I know that even played the harp. I don't know. Where does the idea of the harp come from? Are you reading the Bible like, oh, well, they played where does this whole idea of the harp come from?
Never saw a harp before in my life. I'm in the inner city of Washington, D.C., and God gave me this dream. And in this dream, I was playing this instrument. And I was surrounded by imps in this dream. And then I began to play faster and faster and faster. And the notations in the dream turned into arrows. And the arrows start warding off all the imps that were around me. And then the room illuminated, and I began to tell everybody about this dream. I had this Polish brother, had a novelty store on Connecticut Avenue. And I used to go in there every day, number one, after I get out of school, and tear up his whole shop, because I didn't have an instrument. So I went in his store and just tore up everything that was up in there. And he put me out every single day. Every day he'd put me in. He said, "Little Jeff, get out and don't come back." So I told him about this dream that I had. And he had a strange look on his face. And he said, "I want you to leave and don't come to my shop again until I call you." I didn't think he was ever going to call me. I think he just wanted to get rid of me. But he called my mom's and He said, tell Jeff to come on down. I have something for him. And I walked in the door. He said, I was always aspiring to build an instrument. I got tired of building guitars. I got tired of building drums. I got tired of this and that, novelty, claves and all that. He said, but when you shared this dream with me, it walked with me. And I said, I wonder if I could ever build me a little harp. And he built this little harp, and he gave it to me. And he said, whatever God has for you to do with this instrument, you go do it. I fulfilled my dream. I built me a harp. And fast forwarding, next thing I know, I'm sitting up in California, not knowing exactly what I was going to do in California, because I wasn't trying to go to school.
Yeah.
I was playing around and messing around in California and playing music and so forth. And so I ended up with this bass player, and the bass player said, I got to go to rehearsal. You can't go. I'm going to drop you off. As a matter of fact, I think somebody knows somebody that can help you out. From there, next thing I know, I was in the room. I was knocked on the door, and he said, "Hey, Alice, look, you're the only one I know to play a harp around here. Look, this little boy had a dream about a harp." So I said, "I'm gonna just drop you off there, and I'll come back in 2 hours. I'll come get her." Well, she said 4 words to me: "Come in and sit down." And she began to sit down and practice and play. Never saw a harp in my life, and she began to sit down and play for 2 hours straight. At that time, the brother came back to pick me up. She looked at my hands. She said, "I will see you tomorrow." And that tomorrow turned into 3 years. And the whole thing was about appreciating sound more so than appreciating music. She was such a priestess in her own right, to be able to be connected to sounds of the universe and sounds of the world and sounds of nature and sound, and she made her harp do those things. And fast forwarding, 3 years have gone by. I'm ready to come back to the East Coast. And her very last words she said to me, she said, "Be very, very careful of this music industry, and making sure that they don't rape you, rob you, destroy you of the gift that God has given you. And I believe that God is going to be with you for whatever you have to do with this instrument. You're going to be a blessing to a lot of people."
All of them. They rape you, rob you, blind, everything. That's just entertainment. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and I hope these commercials hurry up because I'm ready to get back to this conversation. So we'll be back with Mr. Jeff Majors right after these commercials.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeff Majors featuring members of the Southeast Symphony.
1933, Jesse Mitchell, his friends and business associates came together to do what only a few black entrepreneurs before them had done: establish a new bank to serve their community. Today, under the leadership of his grandson, B. Doyle Mitchell Jr., Industrial Bank has branches in the District of Columbia, Prince George's County, Maryland, Newark, New Jersey, and Harlem, New York, and remains committed to serving and impacting communities.
At Giants, when budgets are tight, we keep our communities knit even tighter with every way to save on all the meals you crave all winter long. Giants, this is home.
And we are back with the legendary Mr. Jeff Majors. We jumping back into the conversation because I want to cover as much as I can today. I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. So the woman who taught you how to play the harp.
Yes.
Who was she also African American?
Alice Coltrane.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she was African American, and she was I had two great influences on the instrument: Alice Coltrane and Dorothy Ashby. Dorothy Ashby pioneered bebop on harp. Alice, she pioneered spirituals and jazz, on just different types of jazz.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they were my two main influences in being able to approach the instrument and how I wanted to approach it, especially from a spiritual base.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So for y'all who doesn't know, Alice Coltrane is the wife of the great John Coltrane.
That's correct.
Yeah. So
yeah, he had passed before I came in.
Mm-hmm.
And she had gotten deeper into as a priestess in ushering, you know, in LA and California. So, you know, it was time for me to head back home, and so many different things started happening when I got back here.
So once you learn to perfect the instrument of the harp, what made you? Because you're also a composer,
Yes.
great writer. What made you say, I got something like, and following the dream? A lot of people scared to, you know, I call them about to. Mm-hmm. I'm about to go back to school. I'm about to do this. You've been about for 40 years. Ain't took one step.
Right.
So you taking that step, was you writing or being at this level where you at now in the dream, or was it just something you built on from off the dream?
Great question. The dream continues. Sitting here with you is part of this dream, to be able to share this with those who may have never heard, you know, anything about my work or anything about my walk. So the dream continues, and what I continue to want to do is be of assistance in helping people to be healed through the music.
With such arrangements such as Somebody Bigger, I love that song. Somebody Bigger, Psalm 23, Wade, your arrangement of Wade in the Water. Where do you draw your inspiration like that? You say that I know this is going to be a great song.
Oh, I never say that. You know?
Oh, okay.
I'm still trying to figure out. You said master the instrument. I have not mastered it. I'm still trying to figure it out, because it's still trying to figure me out. You know, so we still have a relationship like that between me and the instrument. So I'm still learning from an orthodox and unorthodox style of play. Mm-hmm. As I start moving, you know, in different realms of the music industry, it's kept me in a very spiritual base. fast forwarding to come back here to the area. I was working in radio. I worked in radio for 18, 19 years, almost 20 years of radio. And I was coming up Washington, D.C. I was coming up, walking outside of Howard University. I saw this old guy digging in the trash can. Mm-hmm. And I always speak to him. I always speak to him. How you doing? What's going on? Da-da-da-da-da-da. But when he looked up, I identified him as the professor that taught physics at Howard University. It blew me away of a man of such a great intellect and mind and culture of the university. How could someone with such a mind end up in a trash can trying to find food? Fast forwarding, took me back to Baltimore, where I was residing at the time. Mm-hmm. And I slept with the homeless for 2 weeks. Mm. The carpet was the dirt, and the sky was my ceiling. The first 24 hours of being homeless is a very profound spirit in your psychic, because you lose sense of, you have no more you're not identified or any of that. Mm-hmm. In my 2 weeks of staying with there, a song was birthed called Beggar. And me and Gerald Levert were very close friends. And in the industry, whether it's gospel, jazz, R&B, all the artists have this one thing of, we're going to do something together, man. We're going to hook up. We're going to do this. We're going to do this, do that. We're going to do, and it never happens. But it's good to, and I was like, Gerald, look, all jokes aside, I got a song for you. Mm. I need a beggar to sing about a beggar. He said, I'll never forget this. He looked at me and said, Jeff. I said, yeah. I know how to beg. I'm a beggar. I can beg. I said, Gerald. I said, Gerald, wrong kind of beggar. That's not the kind of beggar I'm talking about. He said, what you want me to do then? Because, you want me to beg. Oh, I said, Gerald, no. And I began to explain to him my experience of sleeping with the homeless for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Joe we sat in my studio, and he cried like a baby. He said, let's do this. And we completed the song. And in completing the song, I'll never forget, I walked up to him, put my arms on his shoulders. I said, Gerald, everyone gonna recognize, everyone knows who you are. They know you the ladies' man. Mm-hmm. You everybody's baby daddy.
Oh Lord, the cuddly teddy bear.
You the teddy bear man. But they also gonna identify you with a voice or a song that identify your humanity. Mm-hmm. For people that need help. And he put his arms back around on me and said, no, Jeff, you're going to take this song out here, and you're going to do what has to be done to it. Not knowing that 10 days later, Joe was gone. Mm. That I got a call from his brother in South Africa. He's just getting back from South Africa. And he said, Joe is gone. And he wanted you to take the song and do what has to be done to it. Let God use. He said, let God move the song. Don't you do anything to it. Let God move the song.
Other than the trumpet and the harp, I see that you're an instrument yourself. I see you usher in a lot of things, like going back to when you was talking about the person who made the hop for you, you helped with their vision. Rest in peace, Mr. Gerald Levert. You ushered that song in like something so people can have something lasting in his last days to hold on to. So you're an instrument as well. So I'm about to jump. I had it lined up, but I love the way the conversation going. I heard you talking about sleeping with the homeless, and I know that you have non-profit called Network of Doves.
Yes.
You do, and you do free concerts. Jeff Majors, Blankets for the Homeless.
Yes.
Where do your love and compassion from people come from? Is it just that incident that happened that just opened your eyes, or is you always been a compassionate person when it comes to people's sorrow, or where does that come from?
I have to give that credit to my father.
Okay.
He taught me how to love unconditionally. And I mean, during a period of time where segregation was so thick, I saw him stop his car every day at the top of this alley and go feed this white family who had nothing. Every day he would bring them either clothes, he'd bring them food, he'd do something. And I watched that. I watched him do that. You know, and it really affected me. And I never forget him. I said, Papa, why you do that? Why you stop at the top of the alley? He said, so you can always help people. The top of this alley means the beginning of the back of your life in an alley to help somebody that needs to come out of the alley. And I never forgot. So that was very poignant and special for me to be able to have a father that would give that point of just unconditional love, you know, towards human beings. And of course, it has to start with yourself. You know, you got to be. I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes that humans do make. You know, but I'm not going to beat myself with. Those are life lessons that you learn, and you don't beat yourself with guilt about decisions you've made. But the most important thing is to override that with love, and to be able to give it to somebody else.
Love is the key.
Love is the key.
And it opened a lot of doors.
Absolutely.
Speaking of doors, we will have to take a quick break. We'll have to shut this conversation down for a minute. We'll be back with Mr. Jeff Majors right after these commercial breaks.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jeff Majors featuring Gerald Levert.
My head, I knew my day would start just like the rest, hoping to survive in the streets. I'm a beggar, yeah. You see, walking the streets night and day, had a job and a family. Everyone asks what happened to me. I do my days long and my nights are cold, and I don't know which way to go. I'm a beggar, yeah. Said I'm not a thief, no. He's a beggar.
this poem is entitled It Was Necessary, and it's basically saying how some things in life we go through are necessary for our growth and necessary to help others, and also how it's just life happens to all of us. Listen, it was necessary. You don't fully understand why you had to go through what you did, just know it was necessary. The rape, the molestation, and being misunderstood, and to top it all off, your family left you and you never thought that they would. It was necessary to go through the divorce, and while you were at court for the divorce, you got lied on at court. Listen, it was necessary to go through the pain and the loss of a parent, and you don't understand, but you still find yourself grieving, even sometimes mad. It was necessary for you to go through seemingly harder processes than others, and it seems like everyone else is moving forward. It wasn't necessary. The tears, the heartache, the pain, feeling like you've been abandoned over and over again. It only helped when you're supposed to be designed in the beginning. Listen, it was necessary.
Welcome back to the Lyrical Coffee House. I'm your host, Thomas Terrell Jr., and I am joined with the iconic Mr. Jeff Majors. If you're just joining in, you have missed out on a lot. But you can always replay it, and you can always replay it, and then you can share it, and then you can tell a friend, because this history right here. This is history right here, and I hope you all enjoy it. For those of you who've been watching, we left off with love is the key. When I was growing up, Mr. Jeff, my grandmother used to say, we living in our last days. I said, well, what is these days now? Because if those was the last days back then, and it's just very few people who push love, because the industry, or however you want to look at it, is pushing a different agenda. But to be able to stand strong within yourself and say, yeah, I'm going to stand on my principles. I'm going to stand in my ministry. Where does that strength come from?
That's a very powerful question. Because independent thinking in the spirit is the key that unlocks all those doors. Right now we're living in a time where fear is trying to just permeate itself all through our families, all through our communities, all through our cities, even all the way down through our country. That we're dealing with an individual that wants to just permeate fear in people's lives. And not understanding that the key of independent thinking, the key unlocks that door for no fear. When I look at the life of Christ, he had no fear, but all he had was love. And if you're able to understand when fear comes upon you to threaten you, and if you understand, I always use a parable. If that kitchen sink isn't actually coming through that window, it's all a mirage. Fear is nothing but a delusion. But if that refrigerator or that stove is coming through the window, duck. Get out the way. Other than that, it is all a mirage, and then you have to be able to understand what overtakes fear is nothing but love.
Speaking of fear, a lot of people fear the word no. And if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. So a no doesn't really hurt me. So what was that yes moment for you to where you like, I got it?
Well, let's go back to no. Because I said you really don't understand. I'm not talking about N-O. I'm not about K-N-O-W. And if you don't know, just try it again. If you're not familiar, it's like, playing my instrument. A lot of opposition came up in the music industry of like, well, how do we duplicate him? Sony says, how do we duplicate this cat? Universal, how do we duplicate this cat? Said, ain't no other brothers out there playing harp. What you mean? How we gonna produce them? That means if we don't copy this concept, he can take his thing and keep on moving all by himself. He don't need that. He doesn't need no assistance. He don't need us. But if we go ahead and continue to promote him in our promotions, then he then did what we did not want him to do, is to use us to promote him and for him to get his stuff out. And I understand that I never had an attempt of wanting to be a star. God wanted us to be servants, and he never wanted us to be a star.
Jesus was a servant.
Absolutely.
Washing feet and all.
Washing feet and all. So, and I understand that your gift will make room for you. So when I understood that, and understood that, just got to do what I got to do, to help as many people as I possibly can. Because this flicker soon will be out of the way, and I got to keep doing what I got to do.
With all that you've done with your music, let me ask you this: what's your favorite song that you've done?
Let me share my favorite experience. My favorite experience that means more to me than anything that I've ever done was to be able to be a part of Coretta Scott's service burial. To be able to help celebrate the life of Coretta Scott King, and being in that service of 4 different presidents at the same time. And everyone came. They didn't come for a reason for a party, but they came for a reason for a celebration. And that's, with so many other great things that I've accomplished and doors that I've walked through, that was very special. I said, if I never do another red carpet, if I never get another award, that the fact that I was able to help bury Coretta Scott King, that's what my purpose was being born for. That's why I was born, to be able to help her do that. So that's, and as far as the song, it's not a song. 23rd Psalm is a prayer. And I never looked at it as a song. People who try to sing it, it doesn't come off. Until you understand it's a prayer, you'll never understand how to deliver it. And,
that's true.
So between the 23rd Psalm and Coretta Scott King, right now I'm not quite sure what the next step is going to be, but hopefully it'll be able to be. It's going to be in service. It's all about service. Yeah.
Who would you say is because you work with many artists on the jazz side, gospel side, who are some of the artists that you may have not worked with that you wish you worked with or look forward to working with?
Wow, that's a big one.
Rather alive or passed away, just from a musical standpoint.
Wow, that's still a big one. That's a big question right there. We're gonna put you with Walter Cronkite. I can just think about those who I've worked with. James Ingram. Great artist. One of the greatest artists nicest human being I've ever met in my life was Luther Vandross. Natalie Cole, Mavis Staples. I mean, the list kind of goes, on down the line. And it didn't have to happen. If God doesn't set it up for you, it ain't. It's about just accepting, whether it's 2 people in the room or if it's 2 million people in the room. Give it everything you got, and everything that comes through you. To allow God to use you, to let your gift come through. Now, living, wow, that's a tough one. That's a real tough one. I might have to come back for your show. I'm saying, doing your show. Let's continue. We're gonna put your show on the market. We're gonna say, yeah, we're gonna Brother T's show. We're gonna put it right on the market.
Yeah, I appreciate it. What do you want people to get or grasp when they hear your music?
The way the world is right now, find some peace within the music. Find peace within the music. Because it's, again, that fear spirit is just running to and fro, and gotta be able to release that. People talking about, Donald Trump and da-da-da-da. All you gotta do is say is no. No. Don't keep reiterating it and repeating what he says. Just
passing information along.
No. That's what Christ did. He said, "Get thee hence behind me." No. And that spirit was trying to figure out how to get back in front for you to get his attention. But get thee behind me. That's it.
But what you saying, that no goes back to that other no you was talking about. Once you know who you are, the world can't really tell you who you are.
You got it.
So the no come back around full circle.
You got it.
Man, oh man, this is a treat for me. This is a treat for me. So these the questions that I have. I know people been listening and they hear, I'm saying this as a compliment because I believe that a man could compliment another man. Your voice is just so soothing. I'll say that. So how was you talking on the phone, hooked up to that kitchen phone, and you was just like, I got a nice voice. So let me get into radio. Like, I heard you speak a little bit on radio. So how did radio, you said, I'm going to be a radio announcer. Like, how did the radio thing come into play?
Good point. Two things I want to say about that. First and foremost, how I got started. There was an announcer by the name of Jerry Bledsoe that used to work at WMMJ Radio 1. And he came up to me one time. He said, "Jeff, you need to do this." And he was like, I said, "What are you talking about?" "You need to get in radio, man. Television, you need to get into that." I said, "I don't know anything about it." He said, "Get in and I'll show you the rest." Had no way of knowing how it was going to happen. Miss Kathy Hughes. I always won't go into too much about history, other than the fact that she's a kingmaker.
That's true.
And when a woman can come into your life and make you a king, identify you as a king, then you have to do things of a king. And so getting into radio was something that, again, God opened that door for it to happen. I didn't go to broadcasting school. I didn't do any of that. It was all about someone sat in a chair one day and said, "Where'd that voice come from? Where's that? We need you on that mic, right? Put it on that mic right there." And God did the rest.
Cause they can only hear the voice, but the voice is shaking this podium that we sit on. So you doing radio, you announcing. Where does the TV come into play? Was it like, I can do it here, so I can do it here, or was that another?
Doing television, great questions, man. You all right? I never wanted to do television. I wasn't inspired, to do television. But I knew at the particular time there was only one gospel announcer in television that I knew of. I said, I need to give the viewers another image, another likeness, and give the viewers choices. Give them a choice. Right now, there is no choice. You will be the choice. And I did television only to, number one, not to give people that were watching television a choice, but also giving the artists more leverage and opportunity for them to share their gifts. So it wasn't about me just being able to find traditional gospel artists coming and singing on my show. It was about finding those artists that would never ever have an opportunity to be on anybody's show with different, because the horizon kind of swole. So it wasn't about just doing traditional gospel, country gospel, you know, people that did, you know, instrumental gospel, you know, musicians, so forth and so on. So it was about opening a door for so many different types of, you know, artists, whether they were Hispanic, whether they was Nigerian, you know, whether, regardless of what they were, because God's praises are all over the world, and being able to let the world see how this art form of gospel can be shared with so many different artists. So that's what that was about.
With me doing, with you saying your dream and me thinking about doing comedy, so when I started out, I'll be honest, I started out like the Def Comedy Jam, you know, super raunchy. But one night I was talking to my now wife, at the time she's my girlfriend, I was like, even though I'm going in these clubs, I'm like, I'm not getting nothing out of it. Like, I don't feel like you laughing, but I don't feel like I grew up in church, I don't feel like I'm leaving no impact.
Gotcha.
So I started talking about me growing up in church, in the comedy clubs. And you know, you have the naysayers, they don't want that stuff in here. Right. They don't want that in here. And it will make you think like, well, when am I going to perform? So I was like, well, all I need is a room. I bring people in the room, man, you know. Right. So I started doing, and along my journey, I got to meet with different comedians. And it's kind of crazy because even though they live or talk about what they talk about, I've had comedians such as Monique was like, you're the church for a lot of people. So I'm in the comedy club. I'm not, you know, some comedians do something over here and do something over there. Like where I'm at, I'm doing me. Like that's just who I am. That's how I grew up. So so trying to be that light, like I'm not trying to be the funniest, but I always try to be the most impactful. You may not remember my joke, but you like, he was talking about Jesus. So it's like to set the seed in your head.
But you know what? They want to be you so bad. They would like to be able to have that kind of courage and find themselves and know who they are. That's all of what you've done. You found your niche. You found what God has for you to do, and it's going to just keep getting wider and wider and wider, and respected and respected. But them who wants to be like that, they're going to be battling with inside themselves because they're missing out on two things. They're missing out being themselves, and they're missing out being somebody else.
Because the thing is, me and my wife talk a lot about people chasing something. So you can get a new car, but once that newness wears off, you can go get a big house, but once that new... So you're chasing something, and we came up with the conclusion that all you're doing is chasing God, because God is the only thing that can fill those voids.
You did it. You did it. You own it. You own it. You own it. You own it, doggone it.
Well, now that you hear I'm on it, we gotta be on another commercial break. Y'all keep breaking the conversation up, but we gotta pay the bills. We'll be back right after this commercial break with Mr. Jeff Majors.
I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still water.
For more than 150 years, Morgan State University has positioned its graduates to grow the future and lead the world. Morgan students receive a world-class education, engage in meaningful research, and uplift their communities. Over 126 programs conveniently available online or on Morgan's beautiful campus. Designated the national treasure, there's something for everyone. Pursue your purpose. Progress in your passions. Achieve the promise of career fulfillment. Your Morgan experience awaits. Choose Morgan.
We are back. We are back with Mr. Jeff Majors. I don't know if you were really paying attention to the voice on that track that you just heard, Mr. Al Johnson. We want to give a shout out to Mr. Al Johnson. May he rest in peace. But I want to talk to you about Mr. Al Johnson and you all's working together.
Brother Al met me when I was 15 years old. He was singing with a group at the time called the Unifics, the Court of Love and all of that. He was, and he has gold records. He had gold records on his walls before I even met him. And when we started working together, he told me, he said, Brother Majors, I'm going to be with you, because a lot of people don't know what it takes to be consistent, to be with someone and building. And I'm going to be with you until you make it. And he was true to his word. To the very day that we put him in the ground, released some doves, he did. He was true to his word. And when I talked about Kathy Hughes as a kingmaker, he was definitely the Little John in the Robin Hood.
Yeah.
In the Robin Hood, scenario. But it was a lot of great stair steps, and there are continued stair steps in my life now. Because taking care of my mother for 11 years. And pretty much gave up everything in the music industry, in the television industry, gave up all of that. Said, well, you could have put her in a home. No. I lived in Africa for a number of years and did not find one senior citizen home in Africa. Not one. The family took care of their elders. And that branded me. When I came back home, I said, and I knew that Mama was getting old. And I got the call, said, Brother Majors, Mama is not doing well. I said, put all that in a box, ship it when you can, whenever you can. I won't need it. I'm going to go take care of Mama. And God blessed me with her to have 100 years, 6 months, and 3 days. You know,
that's a blessing.
And she was on her way out when she hit the 80. But we changed her diet. We changed her attention. We gave, everything that was going to be had to be built around her. Had some great home aides that came in at times to help me out. But for the most part, you know, the fulfillment, what the scripture said, honor that father and that mother, that days may be long upon the land. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm still here, you know, and I'm very thankful for that. But Al Johnson was also part of this walk, you know, from beginning to end. He watched me go through all of it. He watched me go through relationships. He watched me go through those who wanted to be in the band, who wanted to take over the band. You know, you know. And I said, Al, why are you sitting here? You don't have to be listening to me. You know, you don't have to do that. You know, you got gold records on your own wall. You don't need, you know, da-da-da. He said, no, you don't understand what it takes to build. And you're gonna, and when I give this to you, you turn around and give it to somebody else. So that's what we're gonna do.
Well, you know, in today's time, nobody trying to build. Everybody like tearing down, but nobody want to build. Nobody have the patience. Was Mr. Al from down Newport News, Norfolk, Virginia area?
Newport News.
That's where my family from.
Newport News. I mean, had an incredible family of brothers. It was a band of brothers, and they all was gifted. Al actually came up here to D.C. to go to Howard University to study architecture. He was coming up to be an architect. Al Johnson had a photographic memory. We were on our way to Chicago to go to Oprah show. No, not the Oprah show. We was on our way to Chicago to do another show. And the transportation was supposed to come pick us up, never came pick us up. So we said, what we're going to do, we're going to rent a car and go to the hotel. Well, we rent the car, we get the car, he said, make a left here, make a right here, make a left here, make a right here, go around the corner, go south, here we are. I said, Al, have you been here before? He said, no. I said, how did you know where we were going? Oh, I read the map on the plane.
Well, no GPS.
No GPS. He read the map on the plane, and he had that kind of mind. He could remember something and draw it and figure it out. I mean, he was and we never had one crossword about one note. Of all the music we did together for the Sacred Project, we didn't have one crossword for nothing. I said, Al, let's drop this flat at fifth right here. Let's put this right here, and then let's, you know, swing this over here to, you know, another chord into a G minor. He said, okay. That sounds good. It sounds good. If it sounds good, it feels good. And if it feels good, everybody's gonna enjoy it.
I always tell people God is a comedian. Listening to your story and listening about Mr. Al and even myself, like, you tell God your plan, he gonna laugh and show you what he got planned for you. So with saying that, by you being an instrument, like, you're into the harp, but go back to saying, like, you've been an instrument for people. Like, you've been ushering in God's, you know, God's purpose for other people's life. You've been an instrument for a vessel. As some may like to say, wow. I'm not really a person who really short of words, but just hearing a story. And unfortunately, we got to come to an end. But is there anything coming up for Jeff Majors other than, you know, me and you working together on a lot of things? I just like to throw that out there because they say you have not because you ask not. And, you know, to throw it, you know, manifest it. And I'm hearing from you how you manifested it. So I'm manifesting right now.
I see it. It's happening. I can see it happening. I can really see it happening. The good spirits hook up with good spirits.
Yeah, I believe that. And when there's bad spirits, my wife would have been left the room. So I know I know it's all good things. But anything that we can look forward, are you going to get back into working on music, or are you going to do like some consulting for any projects, or what do you have next?
I'm glad great question. I'm in production now, working on. I'm always in the studio working on production, working on music. You know, whether it's somebody else's material that needs some assistance, or whether it's stuff that I'm currently working on a 5 CD spoken word piece, and so everything happens for a reason, and I know how this whole industry is moving now, as far as the whole podcast. Talk about old school and new school. I teach a music therapy class for those who are wrestling with addiction, and also for those who are having trauma, those trauma victims in our community as well. Mothers who lost their sons and daughters to the streets with bullets. And so I am working on this project to be able to be of assistance to, continue to be of assistance to them. So that's, I mean, basically, the dream continues. You know, those imps are being warded off by the sound of music. You know, and how people come into your life. You know, so as there's one brother in my class said, "Brother Majors, you old school." I said, "But the thing about it, son, we had a school. You in a school without walls. And I think you need to come in because it's going to be raining pretty soon. And you need to understand how this industry really works." So I think the old school and new school is talking about a bigger building. So we're gonna build some walls up and put some more structure at the top so you're able to do that. So we're gonna grow. You know, I want to pray God's blessing be upon you and your gift.
Thank you.
And what God has for you to do with your gift. And there's no accidents in how God has everything and anything in store and ready to go.
Amen. I'm learning it today to be true. Before we leave, quick testimony. I've been talking about it more often. So right now I'm on dialysis, right? So for kidney failure. But the thing is with dialysis, I like to make people laugh. So now the dialysis center's like, well, can you come around to the other dialysis centers and put on shows? I'm like, at dialysis? So when you saying your gift make room, and when you be a servant to people, not looking for nothing, things just fall into your lap.
It happens. It happens.
I'm a true testament to that. For those who trying to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you? Any websites or things of that nature?
JeffMajors.com. It's the easiest way for you to run me down. You know, I have all my contact right there. New music is also being popped up on right there as well. So for those who want any of the new sacred projects, we have those going. We also have some of the other projects I've done in jazz and some of the other projects I've done, you know, and message music, you know. They can go right to JeffMajors.com.
Go to JeffMajors.com. I'm Thomas Terrell Jr. I've been joined and inspired and everything by Mr. Jeff Majors. We'll catch you later. This is the Lyrical Coffee House. Thanks for tuning in.
everyone will change. No one stays the same. The young become the old, and mysteries to unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Not thinking no one goes unchanged. There are not many things in life you can be sure of. Except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart will heal, but never much too soon. Yes, everything must change. The young become the old, and mysteries do unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time.